Hey guys! Welcome to Power Rangers Playback. Yes, and you might wonder, why am I here by myself? But I'm really
Here
not.
I am!
We're together!
Yay! I know, it's so
Yes.
exciting.
Yes. Let me see if I can move this so you can see both of our fat faces.
Mainly my fat face. We
But-
planned this, so like this live's around me being in California, so it's so fun we get to be together.
Yes.
Like old times.
Yes, like old times. Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony.
But without further ado, we have such an amazing guest for you guys.
Yes.
Cat watched a couple of our episodes today.
Yes,
and
it's I know that her season is one of the most popular seasons in the Power Rangers franchise for many reasons, but I'd never actually watched a full episode of the show. I'd seen little snippets because we had interviewed John Tui. And anyways, without further ado, Aly Purrott from SPD, Sydney the Pink Ranger.
Love it.
Just look at you, all beautiful and everything.
Oh, you're too sweet. Thank you. It's so great to be here and to see you ladies, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
We are honored.
Yes, when I was watching her show today, Nakia was kind of popping in and out because she was working. She's like, look at this little sexy mama.
Well, that was many, many years ago, right? I think, oh my goodness, 20 years ago, which is wild. Yeah,
Yeah. Did you shot in New Zealand for the show, right?
we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. You were over there.
Okay.
Wow.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since Power Rangers.
Yeah, I retired from the acting world shortly after Power Rangers, sadly. But I started an event production company in Vancouver, British Columbia. So we do a lot of large-scale events here in the city and beyond. We work with a lot of clients around the world as well and travel with them and do their corporate retreats.
Wow.
And I have a family, so I was in LA for a little while. I was actually going to school in LA, and I had friends in Vancouver, and I decided to pop to Vancouver to visit them 17 years ago now. And I never left, and I met my husband about a year after that. So that's essentially why I'm still here in Vancouver. So yeah.
Not originally from there. Where did you grow up originally?
I grew up outside of Toronto, Canada, in a place called the City of Kawartha Lakes. It's like cottage country, a really quiet town that a lot of people go to in the summertime. So it's great, spectacular in the summer. It's very quiet in the winter. About an hour and a half northeast of Toronto.
Canadians are always so lovely. There's always such lovely people. Why do you think that is?
We are known, to have, I guess, great manners, and we say sorry a lot, apparently. I don't know. I think there's a great culture here in Canada and a great, I think, common respect in the country. And, I guess if it's been shared enough growing up, like Canadians are polite, it is ingrained in us. I don't know if that's because we've been told it or we just are, but Canada is a great country, so I'm proud to be Canadian.
Yes, I love it.
You spoke about having a family. How many children do you have, young lady?
I have 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl, and my youngest is 20 months at the moment. Her name's Arabella Rose.
That's so
Yeah.
cute.
We call her Bella.
Mother now.
Yeah. So my granddaughter is half the age of your baby.
That is not possible. Stop right now. How is that even possible? Wow.
I am so blessed. She's 10 months. She'll be 1 July 26th. I remember we were on live with Tammy Frank actually when my daughter-in-law went into labor like 4 weeks early. But my granddaughter's healthy, safe, and beautiful. But yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's wild. I can't comprehend that you don't look old enough to have a child that has a child.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's true.
We had a couple of questions from our Patreon members. So we're going to ask you a couple of those first. Thomas wanted to know, what was it like working under Disney, the Disney era?
I hear that this is a little bit controversial, the Disney era, right? Because it kind of, I guess, happened and went in 5 years, I believe it was. But I am such a Disney fan, truthfully, that I felt very excited to work for Disney and be a part of the Disney era. And you know what? Disney treated us very well. I have to say, when we wrapped our final episode in New Zealand, they flew us immediately to Orlando, where they were celebrating a big anniversary. I want to say maybe the 50th anniversary in Orlando. I might be getting that wrong, but basically anyone that worked for Disney at that time, they shut down the parks early and had all of the casts from all of their various shows come out and got to run around the park and enjoy Disney. It's honestly spoiled Disney for me, though. Now I take my kids and we wait in line like you do, and I'm like,
what this is for the poor people?
Like, once upon a time, I was like, no one was in line, and it was amazing. So it's kind of spoiled it for me, but it was so fun. And I am a little bit of a Disney buff, so I'm proud that I'm part of the Disney era.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Did you want to ask?
Yes. Who you came back as a ranger? Who would you like to have on your team?
Oh, well, obviously you guys, and I'm not just saying that. Like, legit, let's build a team of women rangers.
Yes.
Who needs a man? Yes. I feel like this was always a big topic in my season about, can a woman be the Red Ranger and be the leader? And so, obviously I am a woman in business too, in my real life. And I am surrounded by incredible leaders, both women and men. And I am like, hell yeah, let's form a team of powerful women. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, ooh, that's, they're not gonna love that answer, but why not?
Amen. Well, both of your characters on your season, like you and Monica, Z and Sydney, were both really strong females. Like, I really loved seeing that. Like, you were both very different,
Yes.
but both very strong and equal. The show definitely had that theme going through it in all the seasons, but I feel like certain seasons, the females really seemed very, very strong. They kind of focused in on that.
They did, and I really feel that had a little bit to do with the executive producers at the time, Greg Ronowitz and Bruce Kalish. They were also writers in our season, so I think how they positioned us, a lot of it had to do with them, and I'm sure there was many other people behind the scenes that supported that, but I truly give them the credit for the way they allowed us to show up and be strong characters.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I really liked that. And you also had Koichi as a executive producer, and Koichi's phenomenal. He's for those that don't know, Koichi Sakamoto was the stunt coordinator when we were on the show, and he went on to be much more involved in the show and became an executive producer, stunt director, just phenomenal at what he does.
Such a phenomenal man, so kind, and made our experience truly so special. Like, we just felt so taken care of in his care. So yeah. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Was he also your second unit director, or was he just executive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when we would go and do the fight scenes, he was always leading the second unit. Yep.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know what first and second unit are, so usually first unit are the actors, the faces of the characters, and then the second unit typically are the stunt guys. And Koichi, he worked for Power Rangers for years then, because we were back. I started on the show in '95, and you said this is your 20th year, and so it's 30 years for us. But yeah, and he continued to go on beyond that. So he was just freaking amazing, absolutely amazing. There was another question. Now this one, I Had no idea. Well, it's kind of two parts. Have you seen your Super Sentai version of your show? And what is your opinion of the Decker Ranger voiceover on the American version of your show?
Okay, this is where I tend.
Season is so popular, just to explain to you, that Japan has your season with you guys in Japan, and then those actors that played you in the Sentai version are dubbing your voice.
Okay, I didn't even know that. I knew, like, I had watched a couple episodes of the Decker Ranger, and all I knew, and it was a big thing apparently, is that my character loved to take baths, and that there were some things that the Disney team were like, we're not incorporating these traits. Yes. So, I only saw a couple episodes before filming, and I did not know that actually you see us as the characters and it's dubbed over. So I'm going to have to check that out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, at least your character liked to be clean.
True.
That's
important.
It's very important.
Yes, good hygiene.
Was there anything embarrassing that happened to you on the set?
Oh my goodness, yes. I really feel like there were a few things. One fun story is it was our first week in New Zealand, and the cast, we were getting to know each other. And as one does when you're 20 years old, we went out and to the club, and we were having fun. And The Summer of '69 was on, if you know that song. Yeah. Bridge, Green Ranger, dipped me, and we were laughing, and we came up, and as we were laughing, we smashed teeth, and my front tooth literally went in my hand. I was like filming the next morning, and so we had to get into like an emergency dentist to fix my tooth. And the producers, everyone's like, what happened? And gosh, I'm like, I told a couple people what truthfully happened, but that was the real story. I don't remember who I disclosed it to, but the real story is we were having champagne in a bar, laughing, dancing to The Summer of '69, and we smashed teeth, and my front tooth ended up in my hand. So
that is something.
That is something.
Did you immediately leave? Like, I can imagine.
No. I remember laughing, thinking like, what are the chances that, we were having so much fun, and I knew we would figure it out the next day. And we did.
I think I would have freaked out.
I would have
on the
freaked out.
show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no teeth. But so you got it fixed before you started filming?
We got it fixed, yes. And it was like the first week, so I think we were still in tests and in training. But then what's funny is I ended up meeting this dentist, and he was talking about teeth whitening. I'm like, yeah, let's get some teeth whitening. And I got this tray with the teeth whitener in it, and I didn't read the instructions. I slept with it in my mouth, and the next day we were actually filming, and I couldn't speak. So it hurt so bad. I was in tears. Like anytime I would open my mouth, just like a little wind would graze by, and I was in excruciating pain the whole day. And so the cast had a ball with that. So I was like, minimized my lines. I remember exactly where we were with the second unit a lot that day in like a tunnel. And I'm like just asking everyone to cover for me. I like could not speak. So some real teeth issues, it seems.
Oh my gosh, that is
well, I'm so happy that wait, was that was Disney era? Because I was gonna say, Saban, if that would have happened with Saban, I wonder if they would have kept you. Because there was a lot of
Jason Frank had went to a mosh pit when we were filming Turbo. No, Zeo, one of them. Anyway, he went to a mosh pit and split his face open and came to the set with stitches, and they were like, what on earth? Like they in order to kind of pay him back, he had a Band-Aid. You can see it in several episodes. He just had a Band-Aid on his face. It looked ridiculous. And we didn't even address it in the show. Like, what happened? No, just let's just pretend that everyone wears Band-Aids on their face.
Well, one thing that happened to me before I got to New Zealand, which I thought was going to kill this opportunity for me, truthfully, is I went to Alaska with friends like 2 weeks before, no, maybe it was 3 weeks before I was heading out to New Zealand. and I rolled the four-wheeler I was on and broke my wrist. And I told nobody. So I'd already landed the show. I was scheduled to fly out in 3 weeks' time. Ended up going to the emergency, getting a cast, which cost me $1 million being Canadian in the US, by the way. Like, I'm used to universal healthcare in Canada, where I'm like, what do you mean you have to pay $15,000 to get a cast? Wild. A whole other conversation. But so I cut off my cast before I flew to New Zealand and just rolled with it. I was like, I'm not telling anyone. This never happened. I just have to baby it. Luckily, it was my left one, so I just have to baby it a little bit. But there was no way I could call them up and be like, oh, by the way, I broke my wrist. I'm in a cast, like a recast potentially. So never said boo about it. So anyway.
Behind the scenes drama with Aly Purrott.
Wow. These are some adventures, Aly. God bless you.
I know. I like to have fun, you know?
That's so great. I don't think I ever shared. I mean, privately I did, but I had just gotten on the show and I was petrified. I had stayed in Valencia a little bit later than I was supposed to, and I got into a car accident. I was on the show. I think we had just finished Azio Beginnings. I was driving back late. It must have been like 11 o'clock, and I was so tired. So I remember rolling down the window, turning on the music, blasting it, trying to stay awake. And I woke up. My nose was bleeding. I had just finished pushing a car down the freeway. The police had already gotten there. I don't even know how they were already there because we didn't have cell phones at the time. So I don't know how anybody, I don't know. I woke up.
Seen you.
Yeah. The police had already stopped the cars behind me. The person was in a stretcher. They were alive. It was fine. Amen. But it was awful. And I remember getting home and just being like, oh my gosh, I don't have a car. I'm so upset. What do I tell them? I called my manager. I was like, this is what happened. And he was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. They ended up working it out. But I understand the woes of not wanting to say anything. They had one of the PAs come pick me up. Yes. And I can't remember her name. I see her. Lee. Yes. Lee. Yeah. The woes.
Well, thank goodness you're okay.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So I am, for anybody that's listening, if you feel tired while driving, call someone, talk on the phone, pull to the side. I've told my husband that, my children. You often think, oh, I'm only 5 minutes away from my house, or 10 minutes, I can make it. And within 10 minutes, you fall asleep, you lose your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great experience share there. It can happen easily.
Have so many questions coming in. Do you want to do these first?
This is from Kent Brown. He has 3 questions, so they're kind of lengthy. So bear with me.
Super chat.
Yeah. Super chat. Oh, we do a dance.
We do a
super chat. Raise them up high.
Amazing. Am I supposed to copy you? Okay.
Okay. Your cast has really cool friendships both on and off screen. Do you remember the moment you all clicked and knew this was going to be a good time?
Absolutely. I'm not kidding you. It was from our first encounter. We were all similar in age, and I think most of us were single. So we were like just ready to have a good time, not with each other. I don't want to start rumors, but just we're in a similar era in life, right? So we all hit it off right away. I mean, we obviously, some of us had our challenges along the way where you spend a lot of time with one another, but I can truly say we left that season so tight. And when we get to reunite at different conventions and whatnot, we truly are so happy to see one another. It's like we'll forever have that deeply rooted friendship because of the shared experience. So it's legit, it's authentic.
Was there one of them that you felt like particularly close to? Because on our season, obviously her and I became very close. So was there one that you really connected to?
Such a great question. And I remember it being like different people in different moments, because we all spent a lot of time together. I would say Brandon and I Red Ranger really, really connected. And actually, I shared that I moved to Vancouver, and when I came here to visit friends, I was here to visit Brandon. And he was dating back in the day another Power Ranger who I was also close with, and I came here to visit with them. So I would say, but all of them in different moments. But Brandon and I kept in touch, I think, the longest, because he did live in Vancouver as well for quite a while now. He's in LA, and he's a big superstar. So I don't see him that often, but now and again we'll send each other a note.
He's doing so well. I'm
Yeah,
proud of him.
and he's a sweetie pie.
He is. He's a great guy. At the end of SPD, Sid and Z were still the same colors. Since pink was Sid's favorite, you think she would always turn down a color change or just stay pink?
I'm gonna think, as I'm like, if I were Sid, I think she would keep pink. I think that there was if a color change was offered, she would stay pink.
She would stay pink. She seemed to be very fond of the color.
She's very clearly. Yeah, that was her color.
Lastly, SPD needs a reunion. Deca Ranger done 5, and since next 2025, it's the perfect time. Also, wow, you were almost to the year SPD took place in. Oh, that's so weird.
It is
in the future, and they're almost 2025.
Oh, it was 2020.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so crazy.
It is, and it's funny to think of, there were so many robots and futuristic things in our season, and now we're here, and I'm like, we're not quite there. I mean, obviously technology has advanced, but not quite the same. But we do need a reunion. We got, unfortunately, I guess, left out of any reunion seasons. And I don't know if that's because obviously we were the Disney era and it was short-lived, and then we kind of got shelved, I think. But we never got brought back. And we were so excited when we were filming, because we kept hearing, like, this is a thing, you'll get a reunion and you get to come back and do this again. And that never happened for us, sadly. So
mentioned in our 30th anniversary special, like, they have Adam and Aisha came back as SPA, so they were like SPD was Delta, so they were Alpha, so they were the first ones, so they were kind of indicating that they were the predecessor for SPD, which is kind of cool.
Aly, I've never come back either.
Yeah,
so I'm the only one in my cast that has never come back, so there you have it.
We got to fix that. We got to get you and SPD into a reunion. We need our fans to advocate for that. So
that's the thing, that on your season, like, your fight scenes were so much like Matrix influenced. Like, there was a lot of like pausing, and just the style was very similar to the Matrix. I was like, was that the Matrix came out about that time 20 years ago, I think. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just a different style.
You're right. There are synergies there. I don't know if we were ever, if it was ever talked out loud that that it was an influence from the Matrix. But you're right. Thinking back to the style of fighting, it's
so cool. All right, you have a super chat.
Yeah, you have. Let me just make sure that we. Yeah,
lots of questions coming in for you, Missy.
A lot. We actually had a ton of questions, but because there's like almost 20 questions here, yes, we'll start there. All right. Do you want to read them out loud, Alex? Alex is our moderator. He's the one that's pulling them on screen.
I was just in the back end chilling, drinking water, listening to the incredible stories. So, I'll be here. I'll read for you. This was coming from Nargon46. I'm new to Power Rangers and have been watching a ton lately. Love the channel. Questions for any of you. What did a normal day of filming look like for you guys?
We'll let you start, Aly.
Okay. It was generally a 4:30 a.m. pickup. And we would get... I remember our driver, we had two of them, Emma and Darren, and one of them would pick us up, and it would do the loop because we all lived in similar neighborhoods. So they would pick anyone up that was starting that early. It was generally Monica and I started the earliest because of hair and makeup. So we would get to set, do hair and makeup for about an hour and a half. And then it was a lot of hurry up and wait. That's a saying, in this industry, because it's like, 7 o'clock sharp set time, but whether they were ready for us at 7, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And we worked, honestly, I think it was like 12 to 16-hour days, unless I'm I'm remembering it incorrectly. Am I not? I just remember working and getting home at night, and it's like you're basically washing your face, climbing into bed, and you're doing it all over again. So there wasn't much downtime for us, and we did film 6 days a week often, so we'd have one day off. So our season was long hours, which I'm sure, judging by your nods, that you experienced the same.
Yes, we would film 12 to 16 hours, and then we had to do ADR at least once a week, sometimes twice, which was another hour and a half sometimes.
ADR is voiceover, guys, for those of you that don't know.
All the times you see us in helmets, anytime we're outdoors, often the sound wasn't good, so we would have to voice match ourselves. So that was an addition to after we'd finished the series. So yeah, sometimes 6 days a week. It was long days.
We didn't have cars picking us up, Aly.
No.
We get into our own cars and drive. And I didn't live at that time. I lived on the west side, and we had to drive all the way to Valencia, which, early there wasn't as much traffic, but it would be 30, 40-minute drive every morning. And then, yeah, you're right. By the time we were done, by the time we got home, it was nighttime, and you go to bed and you start it all over again.
That's right. Or you're setting your lines right for the next day. So it was just, you're on this never-ending cycle.
Yeah. Thank you.
The life of actors. This one's coming in from Keyblade Master. Hello, ladies. Wow, all 3 of my favorite female Rangers on the same screen. Love it. Miss Purrott, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before your audition, did you guys ever watch the original Japanese series before starting your season?
Only a couple of episodes. So I would watch other seasons. So these lovely ladies before I film, just to get a sense of the different seasons and the shows that were available to me. I think they were on DVD at that point. I'm dating myself. Like they weren't, at one point they were all on Netflix, and I don't think they're on Netflix anymore, right? But so I would have to get some DVDs and I would watch. But growing up, I did watch the original Power Rangers. So Amy Jo Johnson. And ironically, my parents back in the day felt like it was too violent, so I would have to, I was a closet Power Ranger fan because they didn't like me watching the show. Now, having experience filming it, I'm like, really, Mom and Dad, it's not that bad. It's
not now, not with what kids watch now. It's nothing.
Oh yeah,
it is nothing. And there's so many lessons, I think, in all of the seasons, right? They're really good at tying in life lessons to the episodes. So of course, they probably just breezed by and saw the fighting and whatnot. But I thought it's actually a really great show for kids, personally.
Yeah, agreed.
This next one's coming in from Christopher Schnickberger. I don't know if I said that right. Amy, what was your favorite scene to film in SPD?
It's probably a typo because I go by Aly, A-L-Y, and so my sister's name, so I get Amy a lot. My favorite scene, gosh, there was a few of them. The first 2 episodes were my favorite episodes, and I don't know if that's because of the excitement of, starting the show, but they were shot a little bit differently than the rest of the season. So, and then we had a couple scenes, one where I was a magician and I was possessed, and I mainly liked my outfit, and I remember liking just the whole vibe of being this possessed magician. So that was a fun one for me. Lastly, I think the most fun we had, although it was cold, is we had a scene where we were in the mud. Like we all were climbing through the mud, and we're head to toe literally covered in mud. And so after the cameras were finished rolling, we had some good laughs that day. It was really, really cold, but we had fun.
I have a question. What do you miss the most about your time on Power Rangers?
honestly, it's an era for me. I think I knew how cool it was to a degree. I think I just miss the cast and the crew, and everyone got really close. And a regret I do have is we would get 2 weeks off at Christmas, and then I think we got 2 weeks off at another time in the year. And I was quite young considering, so I would fly home to see my family, whereas the other Rangers were a couple years older than I, so I think that they had it figured out. And they would go and travel and just see and experience, like we were in New Zealand, so they'd go to Australia or the Cook Islands or Fiji, and I didn't do that. So I know that wasn't quite the question, but one regret I have is just not soaking them in more. And, because I missed them in the time, like the crew became family, right? It wasn't just the cast. So, and living in New Zealand, I mean, and being carefree, not having the day-to-day things that we all deal with now in the real world. It was not the real world, really. It was a really cool fantasy land for a year. So I miss all of it.
Yeah.
Or being attached to a cell phone with people around you all the time too. people that you didn't have it in your pocket 24/7. It was just a different time. This one's coming from A. How do you feel about John Tui being cast in the live action Moana movie?
John Tui is a superstar. John, I could not be more proud and have more love for John Tui. So to see John succeed and follow his dream and his passion and do so well. I just saw he had a baby the other day, actually. It popped up for me, and he had a new baby, a baby girl. So John truly deserves the world. He was the hardest working person in that room. And I mean, he was in a dog head, right? Like you didn't even see John in our season. Wow. And it was hot in there. At one point, I know we've told this story, and I think on a panel, but like his head started on fire because it was mechanical, and he was okay, but like he's smoking, and he just kept doing his thing because he didn't want to interrupt the scene. And he's a hard working man, and he had so much love for his family. Good guy. So in summary, like, can't say enough good things about him, and to see anything he is in and succeeding in life is amazing. So
he was in the suit and he did the voice.
Yes, so that was his voice. He had a crazy, deep, awesome voice for Doggy Kruger, but he was actually legitimately in the suit acting with us. And there were times he got to take the head off because he was behind camera, but he would stay in character through and through. And he would get annoyed because, I'll say this, Chris Blue Ranger he's like a little bit of a prankster. He, was always off in La La Land. And so we'd have to reel him in a lot and be like, Chris, like, get it together. And John would not put up with that. He's like, hit your mark, know your lines, show up. This is people's time. But in like the most, like, you just listen to him because it was so genuine, and he did it in a kind way, but John knew what was up, from a trust, respect perspective. He's legit. So
we had him on our show. We interviewed him, and that's when I really got a chance to know him as a person. And everything that you have said a 1,000 times above that, like how humble he is, all of the rooms that he's been a part of in the audition process and the people that he's worked with, and how humble he's stayed is just impeccable. Because in this industry, you can get so tainted by your status to think that your butt doesn't stink and you don't like just like everybody else.
Yes.
I think he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing and so talented. So yes, I absolutely agree.
Who's playing Moana? If he's Maui, so who's Moana?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's probably out already, like who was cast, but that's pretty amazing.
So amazing. Unreal. Like, go John. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. This is coming from Ragos the Sky Dragon. Good evening, Ranger ladies. Aly, did you take any props from the set, and do you have any touching fan stories from Power Morphicon?
So I only took the Morpher, and I regret this because I learned afterward that all the cast members like took things, but we were told by Disney, like, don't take anything, we will find you. You know what I mean? Like, it was so serious. And so I'm like, okay, you know, I always respected authority. So, so I only took the Morpher, and now I regret not having more props, or at least like a suit, right? Like, how cool
yeah.
And then cool memories from Power Morphicon. Yeah, I think, I don't know if it was the original Power Morphicon, but we went to one right shortly after we wrapped our season. So this was many, many years ago. It was really small. I think it was in Pasadena. We were in the middle, like, it was a smaller group. And you know, I remember back then it being more intimate, where we'd actually talk to fans afterwards. We were just hanging out, right? So I think we would really, that's when it hit me, honestly, starting to attend Power Morphicon, you know, back in the day. It really hit me how big of a fan base the Power Rangers have and how loyal they are. I didn't quite comprehend that when I was filming, to be honest. And then to meet this group of people that fly in from everywhere and are so passionate about Power Rangers, it blew my mind, really. And so that's when I really had a deep appreciation for this franchise, and for the fans. I'm like, they show up like year after year. I mean, you both know you are more on the scene than I, and I've been to a couple of conventions where you are at, and you have lineups around the place constantly, and I'm sure some of them are the same fans too that were, you know, with you in other cities and other conventions, and they just continue to show up. So that's the cool thing about these you know, Power Morphicon and others that have really, really fostered this relationship between the fans and the Power Rangers. So
we have extraordinary fan base, and I'm with you. We didn't know how big Power Rangers was. Well, you went to the movie premiere, so you knew then.
Yeah, when I joined the show, I didn't know anything about it, and then I was like blown away. But like, to see that even 30 years later, that there's still such a huge following for the show is remarkable.
It really is. Yeah.
And now, sorry.
No, go on.
Because and now when you're meeting the fans, and they actually watched you guys 30 years ago and watched me 20 years ago, and they grew up watching Power Rangers, and they're still with you, right? I mean, I don't know many series where that happens. I know that there's a couple of them out there, but I feel like this is a truly unique fan base.
Yeah. And it's become generational, because it's not just especially when it was on Netflix. Then we had like 3-year-olds knowing who we were, because they watched it with their grandparents who were, you know, it's amazing. I didn't know how huge it was until I went to my first convention. I remember calling Cat, and I was like, oh my God, because she wasn't going on Friday, she was coming on Saturday. So I was like, oh my gosh, Cat, there's people here and they know who I am. It was so crazy.
There's a line.
I was like, there's a line. I was so fascinated. It was, yeah, my jaw was dropped, because I would have never known 30 years later people would know who my character was. Like, it's crazy.
I know, it's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it is.
There's one thing I say to you guys all the time is you guys are part of history, and with history comes a lot of fans and people who follow it, right? So from the Fate of Darkness, what was your favorite theme in Power Rangers SPD? Favorite theme up? Team up, maybe?
Probably team up.
Team up, yeah. I'm Ron Burgundying myself right now, just reading off the prompter and not.
I'm trying to remember, you guys, this was 20 years ago. I think we had a team up with the cast before us. They got to come in for the reunion. Was that Dino? But I think that was our only team up, if that's what they mean. I think we only got to do it with one other cast.
Was Ninja Storm? Wasn't that before you? No, Ninja Storm was after you.
Ninja or
Dino Thunder? Dino Thunder, maybe?
Who was Emma Lahana was Dino Thunder. Okay, so we teamed up with Dino Thunder. So Dino Thunder came and did a team up with us, but then we didn't get to go on and do a team up with the cast after us. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys had like that super episode at the end where like the futuristic. This one has no it was just
Yeah.
Thank you, Night Trig.
Thank you, Night Trig, just for your donation. That's very sweet.
Yes, thank you so much. So we'll go to this one. This one's from David. Hey, ladies, I saw on Instagram you'll be at Morphicon. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Looking
Let's
forward
move it
to
along here. This one's coming from Be Ready Yo. Be Ready Yo. Okay, yeah.
Be
As
ready.
someone who
Check out.
Be Ready. Oh, okay. I'm not hip like you guys. Okay. As someone who I'm an old man here. As someone who grew up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Zeo, the SPD cast was such a good time when they would pop up for me in middle school. Such a fun cast. Thanks for the memories, ladies. Aw.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you.
Scrolling down. All right, here we go. This one's coming from Pierre. What episode of SPD did you enjoy the most, and what would you say makes you similar to Sid as well as different?
Well, I'm going to say the beginnings 1 and 2 were my favorite episodes before we actually got our colors. I think we got to do some really cool fight scenes. Am I frozen?
No, you're good on our end.
Okay, sorry. I'm like, I thought I froze. You know what? I have to admit I'm quite similar to my character. I am quite girly. But I think I am pretty tough and pretty strong in real life. So I think those similarities were there between Sid and myself. How we were different, I think, Sid had a few moments where, she had a pretty privileged past. So I think some of that came out now and again. The other Rangers would keep her quite humble, but I hope that is not something that I have experienced personally in life. I'm I come from humbler beginnings. So
I love it.
Awesome. This one's coming from David. How familiar were ladies with the Power Rangers franchise? Were you ladies with the Power Rangers franchise before being on Power Rangers? Did you watch any previous seasons? I know you kind of already alluded to that question, but I wanted to read it since they sent it in a little while ago.
No idea. I didn't know anything about Power Rangers. I didn't even know I was going to be a Power Ranger. I just know that they and it was going to be a series regular, and I was all for it.
Yeah.
Same. I didn't know Power Rangers. I just thought I was auditioning for an American kids show. I didn't know I was replacing anybody, and then I learned it all as I went along.
Yeah, I had watched the original Mighty Morphin, but to be honest, when I auditioned or the audition came up, I didn't realize the series was still on, that it had continued, which also blew my mind to learn. I think we were season, I want to say 14, but my memory might be a little fuzzy there, but that, basically we were season 14. I was like, what the heck? I didn't know this was still a thing. So, yeah.
I love it.
That's crazy.
Horrible, Aly. You were just such a, I remember seeing you, the vision that I have is seeing you in the hotel lobby with your cute little stomach, pregnant, and you're holding your husband's hand, and you're like, hi, guys, you're just so cute. And so sweet. Just thank you. Thank you for your kindness and your genuineness, and just, you're just such a lovely person. I wish I lived in Vancouver. I would hang out with you, even if you didn't want me to.
She would be like, I'm good.
I would love that. Could you imagine us going out for a cocktail? I think we got to make that happen maybe around Power Morphicon in August.
Yes,
Definitely.
Done.
This one's coming up from David Mackin. Hi, Cat and Nakia. Hi, Aly. Aly, were you aware of the popularity of Power Rangers back in the 90s?
I was aware of the popularity of the original series, yes, because I grew up with that. But that was really it. I didn't realize how popular it still was when I got to film.
Very nice.
Sorry,
go ahead.
How popular, because we were talking about this, about SPD being popular. You have I don't know that I want to put this out there too. I don't know that we're going to get to all of your questions, guys, because we probably have about 15 more questions that have come in. All super chat questions, and we only have Aly for another 15 minutes, guys. So we're going to try to power through. But if we can't, we just want to say thank you so much for your super chat questions and letting Aly know how much you love her, because this is extraordinary.
That makes
this
me
next
feel
one. This next one's coming up from Kenneth Shaw. How would you say your personality is similar and different to Sid? I'm watching SPD the first time. I'm loving it so far. You kind of already mentioned it. These are just like I mentioned before. I want to read them since they've been here for a while. From David, hey Aly, what was working with Matt Austin?
Matt is great. Green Ranger Bridge. He's very similar in real life in some ways, like a little quirky, and but he can also be super serious, which Bridge wasn't that serious. He was just a nice guy, also fellow Canadian, and
Campaign when he dipped you. He wasn't too serious then, was he?
No. He was a lot of fun.
This one's coming in from George. Hello, Aly. Did you ever keep your SPD? Which you did. Delta Morpher from the set. She's Disney's already calling the authorities on her as we speak.
Getting rated. Yeah.
Regals comes back and says, have you watched any other season besides your own? If you have, who would you have switched your civilian power with another Ranger? You kind of said that before, but the second part you can probably get to.
Well, what's really interesting is I have two boys, and they used to be really into the Power Rangers, but ironically, they would not watch my season. And kind of a funny full circle moment. There was a time where my oldest, when he was just going into kindergarten, did watch a couple of episodes and grasped the fact that his mommy was a Power Ranger. And I know, having kids, I'm sure you guys can relate. For a moment, they thought I was super cool. But he went to kindergarten and he told everyone, like, my mommy's a Power Ranger, and no one believed him. And I remember he came home in tears saying that his friends said, like, stop making up lies. And I've never wanted to own that suit or, have stolen that suit more than in that moment, because I 100% would have put it on and shown up at his kindergarten class to be like, I'll show you, mommy was a Power Ranger. But which would have, hopefully helped his case. But I think I watched quite a few seasons just in passing because my boys watched Power Rangers. I didn't actually sit down myself and get into them too deeply. But gosh, I feel like so many people had so many cool powers. Mine was touching elements, right? So I could touch like a diamond and have a fist of diamond, or touch brick and have fist of brick. So it helped support me in my fight scenes. Obviously, I had a pretty tough punch, but I feel like, other people had much cooler powers. So
Z was able to duplicate herself.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool one. And then Brandon could go through walls and things, like he could teleport.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there was much cooler powers.
I don't have any powers.
Yeah, I mean, you could touch diamonds and have more diamonds.
You'd be like,
touch money, more money.
Yes.
You'd be walking around like a diamond. I mean, come on now.
Yes, girl.
I love that. Yeah, yes. We did have a scene where there was diamonds, and I was like, it was raining diamonds. That's probably one of my favorite scenes, let's be honest. If they were real and I could just put those in my pocket. But
pretty dope. This one's coming from A again. SPD had a lot of good storylines and character moments that appeal to me now, even as an adult. I just wanted to throw that out there. Wanda wanted to say, hello, girls and Alex. Well, hello there.
And thumbs up from Wanda.
And thumbs up from Wanda. Yes, you could see that on your end. Scrolling down now. This one's coming from the epic announcer. See? Of all the Pink Rangers besides your own character of Sid, which Pink Ranger was your favorite as far as the ones that came before you?
Cat.
Tough question. There we go.
Thank you.
Coming onto the scene, Cat is she's an OG, and you're not much older than I only say that because you came before me in sequence. But truly, Cat, and Amy Jo Johnson, I watched as a kid, so I would put her up there as well. But
Aw,
Very nice.
that's very-
We're getting close here to the ones that are just coming in now. Thanks for Nathan's Gaming wants to say thanks for teaching me how to morph at Harley's.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
we got it in the end, Nathan.
We did.
Yes.
We did. Thank you for watching and subscribing.
Yeah.
A wanted to know where were you when the news of JDF broke?
Aly, we'll start with you.
I don't remember where I was. I just remember when I was at home seeing it I saw it on Instagram with obviously the rest of the world. And that was really heartbreaking because we had just seen him a few months prior at a convention, right? So it felt, yeah, I wasn't that close to him. I only met him a couple times. So, but yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, we were in New Jersey
Together.
Right, it was right before Thanksgiving, and we had signing, and I got a text. No, I had a missed call from Jenna, his daughter, and Jenna and I keep in touch, but it wasn't common for her to call me, and I immediately, my heart dropped. Like I just felt like something was wrong, and then I got a message from another ranger who had said you should call Jenna. And I looked at my husband and I said, I think Jason's gone. And so I found out the news and I walked over to her room. She was napping and I knocked on the door and she just saw my face and I was like, Jason's gone. And she was talking about, and it was a blessing for us to have each other in that moment because it was really, really shocking, obviously, and very, we were very protective of it getting out as well. We didn't want everybody to find out. It's amazing how quickly these things get out. And unfortunately, we were trying to protect the family as long as we could, but it was out in with like an hour of his death. It was crazy. And we had to go and do a signing the next day. And it was really hard because the fans were really suffering and we weren't in a place to like be able to hold space for them. We were suffering. It was awful. But you know, we feel like we have said now to the fans that come when we meet them is like we want them to talk about him and we want them to ask questions because we need to keep his memory alive for them, and he was so important to so many people. He was such a hero. And so we like to talk about it now and reminisce with them and keep his memory alive because he was the representation of this series. He's really the reason the show is what it is. I think his character was so beloved and he was in such a face of Power Rangers, you know. So yeah, it's hard. It's been hard on everybody, not just the people that were close to him. It's been hard on the whole franchise.
I think it's also important, like this whole the whole situation, his death and everything that's transpired. It's a way to see that we are all human, and you know, when people are in the entertainment business, and even those that are influencers, and you put an act on when you're on screen, you put an act on when you're on social media. Sometimes
she's horrible.
When you're like really hurt, when you're really hurt behind the scenes, and it's so important to talk to somebody. And I really wish that Jason would have spoken and talked to somebody. And you know, I love that Tammy, his wife, is really like she's full-fledged out there talking about mental health and trying to save lives. Because I think that's one of the problems is you feel so depressed or you feel so defeated, and you look at Jason and no one would have ever thought like he has everybody. He was known
around the world.
Everybody knew who Jason David Frank was.
Yeah. And
to know that he was hurting as much as he was hurting and no longer wanted to be here, it's heart-wrenching when you hear stories like that.
Yeah. So, it was a good reminder to us that you just never know what someone's going through.
Yep.
And people are really asking themselves, especially in this culture of social media, they always put the highlight reel on and inside if they're broken and hurting, we just have to do better about speaking a truth. Yeah.
And a good reminder to lead with kindness on social media too, because these are real humans and real people, behind the screen that have real feelings, and that hopefully his story does help to shed awareness and save some lives. And I love that there's a lot of conversation around it and around mental health. It's so sad. Would never, and this is the common story, is you don't know. I would never have known. I was talking to him a couple months prior in person, and it was very, very shocking.
Yes.
Crazy moment for everyone. This is the last one that we're going to be able to get to right now. And again, like the lady said, thank you to everyone who have sent so many to us here on the show. Colin Kunkel says, how many times did any of you crack up trying to synchronize your morphs?
The turbo. Yes. Turbo Zeo wasn't so bad, but turbo, man, Aly, it took almost 2 hours to freaking learn that. Because it was like all these, and I was like, what? I remember what? And we learned it on set while we were filming the movie. We did the turbo. We learned this turbo morph, and we were like, what
Jason
the
and
heck?
Kalichi came up with that, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was Jason. I remember them like playing around with it, and then they showed us like very fast, and we were like, okay. So that, Nikki has shared this before, but the scene when we first do the turbo morph, Blake, who was Justin, the little kid, he goes the wrong way, and she looked at him like, are you an idiot? And that's because he made a mistake, but they ended up using it. It was cute. So because we'd done it 50 million times and got it wrong, and to get us all synced up doing that was a challenge.
Our morph, Red Ranger Brandon would start and say ready, and we'd have to hold the morpher by our face, right? Ready. And then the four of us in sync would have to go ready. And the amount of takes we had to go through over the season, because we were so out of sync, because you had to get the voice, the audible, in addition to the action, perfect. So we always had a lot of laughs when we screwed that up. So.
Question. I know we have you for 2 more minutes. When you did the morph, did you have to do the morph every episode? Because we only did the morph. Oh no, that's when we went into the suit.
Yeah,
we would still do it. Okay, never mind. That was a question. Okay. Well, Aly, we did have some. And do you want to ask a funny question? If you were on a deserted island,
okay,
what is one thing you would bring with you, and why?
My cell phone, but I guess that's a dumb question because I wouldn't be able to charge it anywhere. But hopefully it wouldn't be skirted for long if I had a way to call the outside world. Yes, aside from that, sunscreen. I would just soak up the rays and just enjoy it. Gosh, being on a deserted island to me right now sounds fantastic.
Love it.
A margarita, and some sunscreen. If I can have 2 things,
It's a vacation.
On a desert island. Aly, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
My goodness, it's my honor. Honestly, truly, it's so lovely to see you guys, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, and we will definitely get that cocktail at PMC.
Yes, and snuggles.
Yes.
Okay, love it. Can't wait to give you guys a big hug. Thank you so much. Honestly, this was so fun.
Bye.
Okay, have a great afternoon, evening. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh my God. We have just extraordinary guests, guys.
Yeah,
she's
so sweet.
So just genuinely sweet.
And that season is amazing. I know all of you on here obviously are fans of Aly, so you know SPD, but this is my first introduction to it. I'd only seen snippets, and I think I can see why you all love the season. It's really, really well written, and the fight scenes are just off the charts. So I loved her character, and she's just as sweet as could be. So
I was just finishing my tour in Iraq when this season came out, so I didn't watch it till later on. And I'll tell you what, that theme song slaps till today. I can turn that theme song on, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go work out for a little bit. It's crazy. Same thing with Mighty Morphin, the regular song, and Zio. They're kind of just like that Jim Johnson era. Whoever it was, Wasserman, whoever was making the music for you guys, insane.
Yeah, it was a hype song for sure.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Maybe it'll hype me up and have me go.
Work out with the remote control.
And my chili mango.
This is for the biceps.
And your margaritas. Don't forget your margaritas. That's, you know.
Oh,
my
gosh.
gosh.
Guys, we look forward to seeing you at Rangers Top and Top. You will see all 3 faces there.
Yes.
Yes, and I co-own the show, and Alex is going to be running the RSP Lounge. It's going to be off the chain. We hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, see you soon, everybody. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.